Well, hey, this is MarkOgne. I'm the CMO and AI chief for Competently. I'm here with RobSlaughter, the president of the company, and our next episode of Conscious Kompetence. And today we're going to be talking about the why versus the how, and how this impacts organizations and the needs of the different types of talent and skills and competencies that they need from people today. And I know, Rob, we were talking a moment ago about Simon Sinek and that he had a view on this, and I thought we'd just start right off with you diving in on that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're going to steal a little bit of his thunder. There's no doubt about that. It's ride some of his coattails, but I think that he's nailed it. I like to say the how is almost immaterial now. Do you know why? And that's really the crux of what I'm not going to try to talk for you, Mark. I know you'll jump in at any time, but competently, that's what we're really seeing, and that's what we're trying to solve for too. In the world that we're in today, listen, you can't overstate it enough how much change has happened, and we all know AI, LLMs, GPTs. It's really disrupting historical business models. And from two guys, as you can see, that have some gray in their beards, we come from business environments where it's about safety, it's about static, it's about predictability. That's what businesses want, and that's what businesses demand. They've built very structured environments, processes, monolithic technology platforms. And guess what? Then AI hit, and everything has been flipped. Hierarchical structures all the way down to, every part of the business has been impacted. And what remains is still, why are you going to do something? Why is it important to the business? Why should we take on this challenge or this project, this endeavor? And I think that that's really the North Star moving forward. If you understand the why, if you can have people that can answer that, the how doesn't matter anymore. You're gonna have an LLM that's gonna be able to take care of all that. It's gonna be academic if you have, like, essentially, in the software world, if you have a bunch of architects that know what they need to do, and then all the pieces can be done by whomever or whatever, at that point.
I look back a distance, and again with the gray hair, you have the luxury of looking further back. But
That's right.
anyways,
That's right. Yeah.
it, there was an article, it might have been written by McKinsey, where they talked about workers today, people today, are able to cope with half of the change that they were able to just 10 years ago. And, I think they also described it as the Russian doll of change, just layers of change on
Mhm.
top of change.
Yeah.
And if you just look the last couple of years, even without AI, we just had a global pandemic. Now we're
Yeah.
having, like, working from home, hybrid. You're supposed to come back to work in the office or not. We've had other disruptive technologies, different cloud infrastructures and things like that. So many new technologies, and just all of this change itself has raised the relative importance. We look at this thing as the whole person when we're doing competency assessments, not just the
Mhm.
IQ. And some people do EQ. A few people even look at AQ, meaning intelligence, emotional, and ability to change or adversity. Now, each of those are important. Everybody brings that part of them to work every day. And with all of this change going on, you need to have a much higher EQ and AQ, emotional and adversity quotient, the ability to deal with adversity. Those became relatively important in over the last several years with all of the changes that I just mentioned, and the ability for people to cope when they're sitting at a desk and doing whatever they're going to do. And I think so, in a relative sense, it was shifting the needs. And I think right now with AI, what we're really seeing is where you were going is just a complete reversal. Like, people, we have yet to really see what this is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, agreed. Yep.
There's clearly been a need for change over the last several years in, the whole person in the soft skill side of the equation, and not just the hard skill. I'm certified in, these platforms, and so that means I have a hard skill, and that's why I hire. Today, more importantly, you're trying to hire people that know how to communicate, that are able to adjust with, a couple of years ago, we saw economic headwinds and we saw revenue harder to acquire and maintain. It really shifted the needs of the organization. So it was no longer about just efficiency. It was like, how well can you adapt to this adversity that's coming down the pipeline at us all the time?
Yeah.
And then with AI, though, and you're spot on, like the ability to do something, it's not going to be that far off. And we were talking about this the other day where, um, you know, I'm going to project that applications start to go away, that you just have an environment of AI that's
Yeah.
agentic. And you could say, hey, Alexa, go. I need to send an email to this type of a group of people with, these types of segmentation things, and we want to talk about that. Could you write a white paper about this? Put it up on a landing page, craft the email, pull the lists, and present that to me when you're done. Like that was 5 different people that it would have taken them a day to do.
Yeah.
It's a commodity. It will become a commodity. And yeah, I'll pass the mic back to you. I grabbed it
No,
for a
no,
long time there.
I I agree 100%, and it's funny, eh, the only thing inevitable in this world is change, and change is scary.
Mhm.
And once again, especially for businesses, change is very scary. It's risky. But we have to come to terms that it's happening, and how are you going to deal with it? A lot of people are leaning into it and seeing it could possibly be a great thing. Nobody has a crystal ball. I remember when once again, being old enough to remember when the internet first came out,
Yeah.
and they were saying the internet was going to be the great equalizer between businesses. A business of 5 people could compete with a business of 5,000, you know,
Mhm.
but really that was somewhat true. But when it comes to pure knowledge and hard skills, AI is the great equalizer. That is what is happening. It
Right.
is it is something that is going to, from a strictly just knowledge base and hard skills. And when I mean hard skills, I mean, knowledge around, certain aspects, like, of course, the easiest would be to think about IT and computer engineering, certifications, that kind of knowledge. But those hard, just purely knowledge based skills, guess what? Everybody's got them now. Everybody on this planet has that
Right.
right now. And like you said, it is, I remember because I come out of a sales background, and I always said that and now I'm going to use the words that we're using now, someone's EQ and someone's adversity, ability to, overcome adversity, are much greater predictors of success than what they know, than
Mhm.
the knowledge that they've acquired over their lifetime. I really want to know, how are they how are they able to communicate with fellow human beings? What kind of critical thinking skills do they have? What is their ability to fit into a culture? What's their ability to
Right.
deal with change? How do they rise to the occasion? Or, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Change can really take people off track. It can really do a number on some
Yeah.
people. Some people just can't handle that much change. But those, to me, and it's kind of funny because we're talking about change, but it's almost getting back to everything old is new again. Those are much greater predictors of employee success than any hard skill, any knowledge base, because that is a here and now and today thing. IQ. IQ is today. But what's it going to be in the future at the rate we're moving right now? How quickly we can't possibly keep up with all of these. But you know what can? An LLM that you're leveraging. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. Like you said, you know, let that let that happen in the background. It really, and getting back to what Simon said, you, it's what Simon says.
Simon says,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it, it's more important to know why. If I understand why, then all those other pieces fall in place in the
Mhm.
background. You know, I don't I don't I don't know. I can barely write HTML, but guess what? I don't have to worry about any new programming language that ever is created from today moving forward, because
Right.
I'll have a GPT that can do it for me. I could care less what the programming
Y-
language is ever going
What
to be.
what a great example, though. Horrific, but great example of what this is that we're talking about here. Like if I were to have told a high schooler what should you study for the last 20 years, I would have said, oh, you know what, you should go
Oh yeah,
in computer science. Like that's the
yeah,
future.
yeah,
And now like the skills that are needed there are really kind of distributed in a very odd way. And there's a lot of people getting
yeah,
laid off in this environment. You need probably really high-end engineers for architecture and strategy,
yeah,
but kind of the
yeah,
mid-level one, it's unnecessary at this point,
yeah.
right? I mean, it
Well,
could
well,
create code.
yeah, you and I have sons that are the same age. We both have high school age sons.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember when my son was very young, 3 or 4 years old and everything. And I had that conversation with him. I said, I think that code should be seen as a foreign language. You should learn a foreign
Mhm.
language. You should master, a programming language. And we were just fooling around one day and he was like, well, I don't know, Dad, and we were talking and everything like that. And what got me to thinking about the architect versus the coder, we were talking about Mars. And this is when first Elon Musk was talking about sending people to Mars. And I remember clear as day, we were talking, it's like, it's like, he's like, I said, Clay, when you're an adult, traveling to Mars most likely could be, a reality. People will be
Mhm.
going back and forth to Mars. But I'd hate to think that you're going to go to Mars because, you may not come back. It'd be months of years of us not seeing each other. And he's like, Dad, don't worry about that. He's like, I'm not going to be going to Mars. I'm going to be the guy sending people to Mars,
Yeah.
And that's what it hit me. It's like the architect is what is of value, the why, that person that understands, okay, the why are we sending people to Mars versus, okay, so here's your piece of the recipe that I need for you to complete along with all these other pieces of the recipe to send them. I'm creating the recipe. Here's the recipe. Now go follow it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The when we net down this topic, and I think the topic is really poignant, it's timely, but what does this mean when we go to try to operationalize it in an organization?
yeah, yeah,
I'll let you take the answer to that question, but I think that is for me right now the critical part is okay, so let's say that we agree with all these things are changing and
yeah,
hard skills are commoditizing. The ability to communicate and work with people, strategize is going to be more important in the future. What does that look like, and what should organizations be thinking about?
yeah. And so I'm gonna speak to it in the context of, why is there even a competently out there? So I mean that's what we think about all the time. As the commoditization of hard skills and intelligence and in knowledge drives the cost to damn near zero, and it's going to be 24/7 that these things can run, you're going to have to reallocate your business resources towards employees, a smaller number, of course, but towards the employees that have a higher EQ and have higher AQ, and AQ being for us adversity quotient, those that can deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of change. Okay, that's great. Great saying that, but how do you do it? And that's what we think. We've come up with something pretty damn slick, and it's called Talent 3Q, where we actually can assess people at the IQ, the EQ, and the AQ level. And we can then assess their strengths, their weaknesses. We can help them develop learning pathways if an organization needs to, develop certain competencies inside their organization, but those are going to be the strategic business assets moving forward. Once again, everybody's going to be equal when it comes to here is, the building blocks, the knowledge bases, technology. Everyone's going to be on the same keel
Mhm.
there. Everyone's going to have that. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find the people that have these higher level soft skills, that know how to utilize all of these new LLM and GPT tools, and not worry about the how, but worries about the why, and really focuses in on the why. So we have a platform, we have an assessment models, various models, organizational, individual, that can help organizations identify these new strategic resources,
Mhm.
because you're going to need to covet them. How do I keep these resources and these people, excuse me, I don't mean to call people resources, but how do we keep these high value people inside of an organization? And everyone, says, oh, it's just, identifying is good enough. No, you have to identify them, and you have to put them on a path where they feel like they're developing inside of your organization as well. A
Right.
person that's a high value employee today is going to want to accomplish hopefully greater things than they're accomplishing today. So once again, utilizing our models, we help organizations put them on these pathways inside of your organization where they're feeling they're being developed just as much as they're helping you develop your organization.
It, one thing that was dawning on me too is that at one level we're painting with a broad brush, which is
Yeah,
okay. So hard skills reducing, soft skills increasing, but every role has a different mix, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
like a surgeon has to have high skills, right? But probably also a really good adversity quotient as well. If something goes
yeah,
wrong, you want a doctor that a surgeon that's going to keep calm, understand how to pivot, move to the next step, change up the operation. But that's gonna be different than, an SDR, which is gon and it'll
yeah,
be different than somebody in finance. And even within finance, you're gonna want a person that is really good with, communication if they're trying to, do bill collection, probably also adversity quotient, but,
yeah,
high on process if they're doing, journal entries or something like that. So the
yeah,
answer is yes. Overall, skills are shifting um, from hard skills, which are tend to commoditize across most roles, to softer skills that help people adapt and work within these changing environments. Um, but it does vary by probably function, role within the function, level of seniority. And that's what
yeah,
we have as this talent 3Q is we can go in and set that up for, classes of employees where you're looking to try to identify what are the skills that people have who are the best in that area. How do
yeah,
you try to train other people who don't have the same mix, but try to help them further their career by improving that mix? Or how do you find people that are in the wrong role? They have
that's right.
they have great competencies,
Yeah.
but they're not in the right role. And today, those people we just, tend to jettison them from the organization, but that's a really expensive proposition. So, sorry I waxed along
Yes,
there too once
no,
again.
no, 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 no. And you brought up something really important too, because, listen, we, at the end of the day, we're talking about business right now,
Mhm.
and business is about dollars and cents. Okay. So, you brought up something really important. Just because someone's not a very good fit for one particular type of role, but let's say they do have very valuable EQ and AQ, score high on those. That's someone you don't want to, like you said, jettison. We want to look for a new role, or some other role inside of the organization. In business terms, we call that reallocation of assets. Okay, that's really what we can help businesses do, is find people that are going to be able to bring the most value to the organization, and identify, okay, so are they in the right role? If not in the right role, let's find a better role inside the organization to move them into. And if that doesn't work, then and only then do you look at jettisoning, because putting it in dollars and cents, a bad hire inside of an organization is going to cost that business 3x base pay.
Right, right.
And that is, I mean, that's not chump change. That adds up. So if you are constantly churning and you're hiring people that just aren't working out, or it's a role that you're doing away with, and you're just jettisoning talents without
Mhm.
looking at, okay, where else can we help move them inside the organization? You're paying for it. You're paying out the nose for that right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's been a great conversation.
Yep.
What can people do if this makes sense to them and they'd like to learn more?
Yeah, well, I would love to talk. Mark and I will talk to anybody personally, because I know that it's a lot to unpack, and sometimes it's hard to really get to the nuts and the bolts of what we've really been talking about. But we'd love to be able to demo the platform to anybody that would like to see it. We've got a new piece of functionality come that we're just getting ready to launch, called IRP, which is the ideal role profile. Getting back to kind of what Mark was saying is that we can also help you create the or identify and the AQ, the EQ, and the IQ based on a specific role you have inside your organization,
Hmm.
and help you really identify the talent much faster from the outside perspective. But you can reach out to either one of us. You can go to competently.ai, and that's competently with a K. You can go check us out there, and yeah, and reach out to either one of us. I'm Robert at Competently AI, and that's Mark.Ogne at Competently AI.
There you go.
And yeah, we'd love to talk to you. This is what we like to do. We like to help businesses solve problems. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation today, and we'll look forward to talking to you real soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it. Thank you.